Hey there, podcasting enthusiasts. Welcome back to another exciting episode of Podcast Power, the show where we empower you to turn your passion for podcasting into a thriving business. I'm your host, Alex, and today, we've got a topic that's going to set your podcasting journey on fire: podcast monetization. But before we dive into the nitty-gritty, let me share a little story with you. A few years ago, I was just like many of you, a young podcaster trying to make a name for myself in this competitive world. I was pouring my heart and soul into my show, but I couldn't help but wonder, can I actually make money doing this? Well, fast forward to today, and I can proudly say that not only is podcasting my passion, but it's also my full-time job. And I'm here to show you that it's absolutely possible for you too. So, grab your notebooks, get ready to be inspired, because we're about to unlock the secrets of podcast monetization. Segment 1. Sponsorships. Let's kick things off with a bang, shall we? Sponsorships. Did you know that in 2021, podcast ad revenue in the US surpassed $1.28 billion? That's right. Brands are eager to tap into the engaged and loyal audience you've built. So, how can you secure those coveted sponsorships? Well, it starts with creating valuable content and growing your audience. When you've got the numbers, reach out to brands that align with your podcast's theme. Be genuine in your pitch and emphasize the value you can provide to their audience. Remember, you're not just selling ad space. You're offering a bridge between their product and your audience's needs. Let's dive deeper into the world of podcast sponsorships, where the opportunities are limitless and the potential for success is boundless. Did you know that in 2021, podcast ad revenue in the US surpassed an astonishing $1.28 billion? Yes, you heard that right. The podcasting landscape is buzzing with energy, and brands are eager to tap into the engaged and loyal audience you've meticulously built over time. So, how can you, as a young podcaster, secure those coveted sponsorships that can transform your passion into a profitable venture? It all begins with two fundamental pillars: creating valuable content and growing your audience. Let's break it down step by step. Step 1. Valuable content. First things first, creating valuable content should always be your top priority. Your podcast episodes should educate, entertain, or inspire your listeners. Remember, quality over quantity is key. Invest time in researching your topics, crafting compelling narratives, and delivering your message with authenticity. Your content is your greatest asset. It's what attracts listeners and keeps them coming back for more. And guess what? Sponsors are attracted to podcasts with engaged and dedicated audiences. The more value you provide through your content, the more likely you are to catch the eye of potential sponsors. Step 2. Audience growth. Now, let's talk about growing your audience. This is where the magic happens. The larger and more engaged your audience, the more appealing your podcast becomes to potential sponsors. Start by identifying your target audience and tailoring your content to their interests and needs. Utilize social media platforms to connect with your listeners, engage in meaningful conversations, and encourage them to share your podcast with their networks. Building a strong online presence and a community around your podcast will help you reach new heights. Audience growth is where the real magic of podcasting happens. The larger and more engaged your audience, the more appealing your podcast becomes to potential sponsors. It's not just about the numbers, it's about the community you build and the impact you have on your listeners' lives. Identify your target audience. The first crucial step in audience growth is to identify your target audience. Understanding who your ideal listeners are will guide your content creation and marketing efforts. Dive deep into demographics, interests, and pain points. What problems can your podcast help them solve, or what passions can it cater to? Once you've nailed down your target audience, you can tailor your content to their interests and needs. Speak directly to their concerns, desires, and aspirations. Remember, your podcast should be a solution or a source of inspiration for your listeners. Utilize social media platforms. Next up, social media platforms are your best friends when it comes to audience growth. They're not just tools for self-promotion. They're bridges connecting you with your listeners. Use platforms like Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and LinkedIn to create a strong online presence. Share snippets, behind-the-scenes content, and engage in meaningful conversations with your audience. Respond to comments, ask questions, and make your listeners feel like valued members of your community. Segment 2. Merchandise sales. Now, let's talk about a fun way to monetize merchandise sales. Did you know that fans are often eager to support their favorite podcasts by purchasing merchandise? It's a fantastic way to build a community around your show. Start small with items like t-shirts, mugs, or stickers featuring your podcast logo or catchphrases. Market them to your loyal listeners through your podcast, website, and social media. As your audience grows, consider expanding your merchandise line with unique, high-quality items. It's not just about making money. It's about creating a connection with your audience that goes beyond the microphone. Get ready, because in segment 2, we're diving into the exciting world of merchandise sales. A fantastic way to not only monetize your podcast but also create a sense of community that goes way beyond the airwaves. Did you know that fans are often eager to support their favorite podcasts by proudly wearing or using podcast-branded merchandise? It's like wearing your heart on your sleeve, quite literally. Let's break down this merchandising journey into steps that will have your listeners proudly displaying their podcast love in no time. Start small with basic items. It's all about starting small and building from there. Consider creating basic items like t-shirts, mugs, or stickers featuring your podcast logo, memorable catchphrases, or iconic artwork. These are like the entry-level products that introduce your listeners to your merchandise world. These items serve as a symbol of belonging to your podcast's community. They not only generate revenue but also foster a sense of identity among your listeners. People love to wear their passions on their sleeves, quite literally. Market your merchandise strategically. Marketing is key to successful merchandise sales. You've got to let your listeners know what's available and why they need it in their lives. Use your podcast episodes to showcase your merchandise. Share stories about the design process, the inspiration behind your merchandise, or even funny anecdotes related to it. In addition to your podcast, leverage your website and social media platforms to promote your merchandise. Create eye-catching visuals and share customer testimonials to build trust. Run contests or giveaways with merchandise as prizes to generate excitement and engagement. Quality matters. Remember, it's not just about slapping your logo on a product. Quality matters. Invest in high-quality merchandise that your listeners will be proud to own. Whether it's a comfortable t-shirt, a durable mug, or a sticker that doesn't fade, quality reflects the value you place on your audience. High-quality merchandise not only generates revenue but also leaves a lasting impression. When listeners receive a product that exceeds their expectations, they're more likely to become repeat customers and vocal advocates for your podcast. Expand your merchandise line. As your podcast and audience grow, don't be afraid to expand your merchandise line. Consider adding unique and creative items that reflect your podcast's personality and resonate with your audience. Think about exclusive merchandise that's only available to your loyal supporters. You might explore merchandise tied to specific episodes or limited edition releases. These can create a sense of urgency and excitement, encouraging listeners to make a purchase. Building a deeper connection. Ultimately, merchandise sales are about more than just making money. They're about building a deeper connection with your audience. When someone proudly wears your podcast's t-shirt or sips coffee from your podcast-themed mug, they're not just supporting your show, they're becoming a part of your community. The sense of belonging and identity that merchandise provides can be a powerful motivator for your listeners to continue supporting your podcast. It's a way for them to show their love and pride for what you do, and it reinforces the idea that your podcast is more than just content, it's a family. There you have it, podcasters, the thrilling world of merchandise sales, where you can monetize your passion while creating a strong, devoted community. Remember, it's not just about the products. It's about the connection they foster and the pride they instill in your listeners. So, start small, market strategically, prioritize quality, expand your merchandise line, and watch your audience become not just fans but loyal advocates. Your podcast isn't just a show, it's a movement, and your merchandise is the emblem of that movement. Segment 3. Patreon support. Alright, let's dive into one of my favorite ways to monetize a podcast: Patreon support. According to research, Patreon creators collectively earned over $2 billion in 2021. It's a goldmine waiting for you to tap into. Patreon allows you to offer exclusive content, early access, or even personalized shoutouts to your most dedicated fans in exchange for monthly support. Remember, your listeners are your biggest advocates. They want to see you succeed, and Patreon gives them the opportunity to be a part of your journey. Don't be afraid to ask for their support and show your gratitude in return. Patreon support is like the secret sauce that can elevate your podcasting journey to the next level. As of 2021, Patreon creators collectively earned over $2 billion, and your podcast could be the next success story. Let's dive into how you can leverage Patreon to turn your dedicated listeners into loyal supporters. The power of Patreon. First things first, let's talk about the power of Patreon. It's not just a crowdfunding platform, it's a community building tool. Your listeners are not just passive consumers. They're your most dedicated fans, and they want to be a part of your success story. Patreon allows you to offer your listeners exclusive content, early access to episodes, behind-the-scenes glimpses, personalized shoutouts, and much more in exchange for their monthly support. It's like inviting them into your inner circle and letting them experience your podcast on a whole new level. Understanding your audience. Before diving into Patreon, it's essential to understand your audience's desires and preferences. What kind of exclusive content would they value? Do they want extended episodes, bonus Q&A sessions, or access to a private community? Knowing your audience's needs helps you tailor your Patreon offerings effectively. Consider conducting listener surveys or engaging with your audience on social media to gather feedback and insights. When you align your Patreon offerings with what your audience craves, you're more likely to attract enthusiastic supporters. Offering value through tiers. Patreon allows you to create different support tiers, each offering unique perks. Start with a few basic tiers and expand as you grow. For example, you might have a tier that offers early access to episodes, another with exclusive bonus content, and a higher tier with personalized shoutouts or even merchandise. Make sure the perks you offer provide real value to your patrons. They should feel like they're getting something special that enhances their podcasting experience. And remember, as your podcast evolves, you can adjust and refine your Patreon tiers to meet the changing needs and interests of your supporters. Engaging with your patrons. The key to a successful Patreon campaign is ongoing engagement with your patrons. Regularly communicate with them through updates, direct messages, or even live Q&A sessions. Let them know how their support is making a difference in your podcast and express your gratitude. Personalize your interactions when possible. Use their names, acknowledge their contributions, and make them feel like valued members of your podcasting family. When patrons see the impact of their support and feel connected to your journey, they're more likely to continue their patronage. Promoting your Patreon. Lastly, don't forget to promote your Patreon. Mention it in your podcast episodes, include links in your show notes, and create eye-catching graphics for your social media profiles. Make your audience aware of the fantastic benefits they can access by becoming patrons. Consider running special promotions or incentives to encourage more listeners to join your Patreon community. Whether it's a limited-time offer, exclusive giveaways, or a special event, creating a sense of urgency can boost your Patreon signups. There you have it, podcasters, the incredible world of Patreon support, where your most dedicated listeners become your partners in success. Remember, your podcast is not just a one-way conversation, it's a collaboration between you and your audience. By understanding your audience, offering value through tiers, engaging with your patrons, and promoting your Patreon effectively, you can tap into the goldmine that Patreon represents. Your listeners want to see you succeed, and Patreon gives them the opportunity to be an integral part of your podcasting journey. So, go ahead, ask for their support, and watch your podcast thrive like never before. Segment 4, Listener Engagement. Now, here's the secret sauce to successful monetization: listener engagement. Your audience isn't just a number, they're your partners in this adventure. Engage with them on social media, reply to their emails, and even consider conducting listener surveys to understand their preferences better. When you connect with your audience on a personal level, they're more likely to support you through sponsorships, merchandise sales, and Patreon. Plus, you'll gain valuable insights into what they truly value in your content, helping you tailor your monetization strategies effectively. Segment 5, consistency and patience. Before we wrap up, I want to leave you with this. Success in podcast monetization doesn't happen overnight. It takes time, dedication, and a whole lot of passion. Be consistent in producing quality content, and don't be discouraged if you don't see immediate results. Now, let's dive into the essential aspects of consistency and patience when it comes to podcast monetization. This is where many podcasters can either lose heart or find the inner strength to persevere. The power of consistency. First and foremost, consistency is your greatest ally in the world of podcasting. Producing quality content regularly is the backbone of building a loyal and engaged audience. Whether you release episodes weekly, bi-weekly, or on a monthly schedule, stick to it religiously. Consistency not only keeps your current listeners engaged but also signals to potential sponsors and patrons that you are committed to your craft. It demonstrates professionalism and reliability, qualities that are highly attractive to partners and supporters. The journey of patience. Now, let's talk about patience, a virtue that's often overlooked in the fast-paced digital age. Success in podcast monetization, just like in any creative endeavor, doesn't happen overnight. It takes time, dedication, and, above all, belief in yourself and your content. Understand that every successful podcaster started where you are right now. They faced challenges, moments of self-doubt, and times when it felt like their hard work was going unnoticed. But they persisted. Setting realistic expectations. Setting realistic expectations is crucial on this journey. Don't be discouraged if you don't see immediate results in terms of sponsorship deals, merchandise sales, or a bustling Patreon community. Building a podcasting empire is a gradual process, and success often comes in small, incremental steps. Instead of focusing solely on the monetary gains, measure your success by other metrics as well. Celebrate milestones like reaching a certain number of episodes, receiving positive feedback from listeners, or seeing growth in your audience size. These are all signs of progress. Refining your strategies. As you navigate the path of podcast monetization, remember that it's okay to make mistakes and encounter setbacks. Use these experiences as opportunities to refine your strategies and grow as a content creator. Seek feedback from your audience and be open to constructive criticism. It's through continuous improvement that you'll build a podcast that truly resonates with your listeners and attracts sponsors and patrons. The thriving reality. In conclusion, always keep in mind that your podcasting dreams can become a thriving reality. Success in podcast monetization is within your reach, but it requires dedication, persistence, and the belief that your voice and content have value. Be consistent in delivering quality content, and don't be discouraged by the time it takes to see significant returns. Remember that every successful podcaster started with a passion and a microphone. Stay patient, keep refining your strategies, and watch as your podcast evolves into a valuable and profitable venture. The journey may have its ups and downs, but with unwavering commitment and a focus on growth, your podcasting dreams can and will come true. So, keep those mics hot, and let your passion continue to fuel your success. Conclusion. Well, there you have it, podcasters. You now hold the keys to unlocking the potential of podcast monetization through sponsorships, merchandise sales, and Patreon support. I started with a dream and a microphone, and today, I'm living that dream. You can too. Believe in yourself, keep honing your craft, and always prioritize your audience. They're the heartbeat of your podcasting journey. Thanks for joining us on Podcast Power today. Remember, your voice has value, and your passion can lead to profit. Keep podcasting, keep innovating, and keep inspiring. Until next time, stay empowered, stay inspired, and keep those mics hot. Goodbye for now.